Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to the Manny Diaz Show. Joe Z and Don Bailey Jr. and University of Miami head coach Manny Diaz. Miami and Georgia Tech coming up this weekend. Canes are coming off back-to-back top 20 wins. How about that? Congratulations, Coach Manny Diaz, and that was an impressive performance by your squad on Saturday. They showed a lot of backbone in that game.
They really did. Pitt's got a heck of a team this year. It was a great environment up there at Heinz Field. And we knew it was important that we started fast. We had really had a great week of preparation. The guys were excited when we left the hotel in the morning. Pre-game warm-ups in front of their student section was just getting our guys energized, ready to play. And boy, we came out on fire, you know what I mean, and made a great statement in the first quarter, going up 21-7. Had to ride some momentum waves the rest of the way because obviously we knew Pitt would make a run. They got a heck of a team, and Kenny Pickett is as good as advertised. But we were able to find a way to make it plays at the end during winning time, and that's been, it's been the difference between victory and defeat over the past couple of weeks.
And it's nice to open every week with Tyler Van Dyke. It just gets better and better and better, and as each chapter goes by, he seems to improve. What did you see the difference in this game from the previous 3 or 4 before that?
Yeah, I think we saw at NC State start to finish. Now it just felt like the confidence was there. NC State, it was like, can we do it? And again, here we go again, first third down of the game, a third down and long, and they rolled to a cover 3, which is really not kind of their primary coverage, and he's got Keyshawn Smith running at the seam and just throws a seed, just perfectly right over the outside shoulder, away from the safety, past the corner, great throw, and that gets us going, and bang, they're, like the last 2 weeks, if he doesn't make the third and long throw, you go 3 and out the first time you have the ball, but he does. We go down the field, score touchdowns, start the last 2 games. What a great way to get off on the right foot.
One of the things that he's been able to do in your offense in the last 3 weeks is stay on the field. These drives have been amazing in terms of how long they have been. I think you've had 10 or 11 now of 75 yards or more.
Yeah, part of that is, one, we're executing at a higher level, obviously. We've been getting better offensively week in, week out. We're not getting the field position advantage we've had in some other games. Our average starting field position was worse than Pitt's. So we're having to make some long drives. Pitt did a good job of punting us deep a few times. We've had some penalties on special teams that are really hurting us. So we're having to start and we have to drive the length of the field, but it gives us great confidence offensively to know that we can.
Manny, when you look at the offense and the production, the thing that's also improving so much is the offensive line. He's not able to make these kind of throws if he doesn't have the time, and he has it.
Yeah, our offensive line is really playing at a high level. Look, you saw 2 high-level quarterbacks on display on Saturday, right? Almost, 900 yards of passing offense. The difference was the line of scrimmage. We ran the ball. We had a stat. We had 41 called run plays, and through the handoffs and the RPOs, we gained almost 300 yards on those plays. Pitt had 66 yards rushing or 63 yards rushing on their running plays. They're not an RPO team, and certainly Pickett had a huge day throwing the football, but they didn't have a real other way to move it other than throwing it. And the fact that Tyler and our receivers can be so dominant in the passing game, but to still have that run game and the RPO game that protects your run game, starts with up front with guys making the blocks, Tyler with the great decision making, be able to throw off the unblocked defender, and that's what's helping us be efficient and drive the football.
We'll get back to your offense in a moment, but you mentioned Pickett and them throwing the ball for 500 yards. I kind of felt like, okay, he's going to get his yards. Kind of like a basketball player who's going to get his points. But in order to get all those points, he's going to take a bunch of shots. And Pickett did have a lot of yards. He also had a career high in pass attempts. He threw the ball 56 times in order to get 500 yards.
56, and you count 4 sacks, and then you count some scrambles where he ran. So, yeah, I think there were 65 or so called pass plays, which is a ton.
Yeah.
And normally you don't win the game that way, because sooner or later, no matter how talented you are, a ball sails on you, the wad doesn't turn around, you get the key interception. But he made it hard, and we obviously we didn't cover as good as we'd like to cover. He made it tough on us. His ability, as we mentioned, I think in the setting a week ago, to scramble the throw, scramble the run, and we had him dead to rights with an unblocked blitzer twice, and he was able to squirm out of there. He made it hard on us. Obviously, he deserves the accolades he got, but because we made him one-dimensional, we were able to find a way to win the game.
Manny, let's go back to helping everyone understand called runs. You look at this, and it doesn't show that Miami rushed the football for X number of yards, but there was almost 300 yards that were called runs that were produced. Explain that so people understand, because the game has changed. The RPO is a run.
Right, and Pitt is always historically really good against the run because they devote so many numbers to the box. But the downside of that is that leaves a lot of one-on-one coverage and at least some space out there in the perimeter. So Tyler's got to be able, like a point guard, you're kind of running pick and roll on every play, and he's got to be able to kind of manage a handoff and see, are the numbers what good to hand it off and get into a good box, or if there's too many guys we can't block, do I throw it out there? I think we had over 100 yards just on bubbles. Mike Harley and Xavier Restrepo did a great job at Rambo of just, hammering yards away on some outside wide receiver screens. Will Mallory, for all of his receiving yards, did probably his best job blocking out on the perimeter. And that is your run offense. That keeps you ahead of the chains, that keeps you efficient, and allows you to make those types of drives.
I wanted to hit you up on two subtle, well, they're big plays, but things that happened in the play to help them along. One was the double reverse flea flicker for the touchdown. Sometimes trick plays, if you're not a good trick play team, it turns into a train wreck. But it was so smooth. Restrepo, his toss to Van Dyke was just perfect. And then the other one I thought was pretty cool was Tyreek's interception. He snatched it out of the air, but Cam Kitchens, he gets himself in a position where he gets in front of the receiver to seal him off. He does a really nice job blocking. Doesn't hit him from behind, gets around that receiver so nobody behind Tyreek can get him.
Yeah, two big plays in the first half, as you mentioned. On the double reverse pass to Mallory, great execution, like you say, on the handoff. Restrepo was great. Restrepo actually, a late blitzer comes. Restrepo actually puts a shoulder on that guy to help keep Tyler clean on that play. Kind of funny story is that Rambo gets kind of really jammed pretty hard by the corner. Rambo's supposed to kind of clear out, run a post. Well, Will runs a wheel. Rambo got jammed pretty decent that he actually ended up creating traffic along the way for the guy who was trying to cover Will on the wheel route. So not kind of the way it was designed, but it worked out in our favor, and then Will was wide open. And I'll tell you now, those aren't easy throws for the quarterback. Sometimes when the guy's that open, you want to, you can short arm it, you want to kind of hand it to him, and Tyler made a great throw, Will a great catch, and then now his speed shows up and he can finish that, not just into a big play, but for a touchdown. And then on Tyreek's interception, that was a big drive, big play, because offense had a punt from backed up. They get the ball around midfield, and on first down, they run a deep crossing route, which are hard to cover for corners and man coverage. And he stepped in front. You mentioned the great block on the intended receiver, and then we got some other really good blocks, and we really felt like we were one block away on the quarterback, where we might have been able to go all the way. Now, we got the touchdown anyway. Now, we mentioned in the defensive meeting on Sunday, we haven't had enough practice in returning interceptions. I mean, it feels like it's been so long that we got the coach how to block on return, but guys did a nice job of turning defense into offense.
Maybe it was Gervin. Maybe I was off.
It was Gervin, yes.
So, sorry, Gervin, but it was Gervin. But nonetheless, still a really nice play.
It was really big and at a big time in the game, and allowed us to take a 14-point lead into halftime.
Coach, there's some young men, freshmen, that are getting some playing time. Now we know, of course, about Kitchens and Williams, but Brashard Smith and then Cody Brown. And you go down that list of some guys that are just helping and quietly, but they're making a difference on the field. When you look at that, and Arroyo gets his first touchdown and made it look like he's been doing it for 20 years.
That's right, and it just hard to know where our team would be without him, and they're getting better week in, week out. And I think it's made you can see, as I've mentioned the last few weeks, it's made our team better as we know now where the contributions are going to come from. You see guys stepping up, like whether it is Rambo or Harley, Restrepo with a huge contribution on Saturday. But you always know you've got some, on the Brashard little sort of sweep play, we're kind of one block away. If we kind of get it blocked up the way we want to get it blocked up, we think we got a chance to spring him for a humongous play. So being able to continue to use all the weapons that we have on both sides of the ball and having those young guys continue to grow, because it's not easy for those guys. And defensively, starting three freshmen against maybe the nation's top quarterback, you're going to take some lumps. And Pitt does a nice job, and they really mix tempo. They're getting into odd formations out of 12 personnel and a lot of bunch sets and just between empty. I mean, they did it all. So there's a lot of thinking and processing on the back end, and those guys did a nice job, settling down as the day went on.
It's interesting to note that in the spring, Coach Lashley said, well, I'd like to have one running back as a feature back. Well, he has that kind of almost by default, but Jalen Knight in the last 3 weeks, he's touched the ball 67 times, averaging 140 yards a game. for nearly 500 yards, and I think it's 6 touchdowns. So he has accepted that role.
Yeah, I don't know if Rhett meant to have it under these circumstances, but Jalen he's done a great job with that role, and another long touchdown, explosive play, which is to me what the number one thing he brings. That touch count's probably about right. That's probably about 22 plays, 22 touches a game, which is fair for him and something he can handle. But I do think, like you mentioned, I think whether it's Cody Brown or the guys behind him, coming along to help out. Cody had some really good runs on Saturday as well. But it is good. It's good to know that you've got a number one guy that is a threat to go all the way at any time.
Coach, let's go to Restrepo and Harley. Those two, that's the position, the slot position. We thought that it would be big for Miami going into the game, but I think combined they were 12 for 142. And Restrepo, the catches that he made, none of them looked like they were easy to make. And I think that you go back to North Carolina State, there were 2 that he wished he had back. It made him even more determined this week to catch everything thrown his way.
Yeah, there's no one more determined than Xavier Restrepo. I mean, he's relentless, and even Mike Harley, you can't find a day where he's not sitting catching balls out of the jugs gun. So both those guys work really hard at their craft. As you mentioned, X made a couple of really, toe touch diving type catches, but a lot of their yards came really being running backs. Like I said, you spit the bubble out there to them, and now it's what can you do with the ball in your hands. And I thought they did a great job of sticking it, getting vertical, and breaking tackles. Pitt missed a lot more tackles than we did, and I thought that was telling in the game.
Okay, we have many more talking points to come. Georgia Tech is coming up on Saturday at 12:30. We'll talk about that and continue our review of Pittsburgh as we continue on the Manny Diaz Show right after this.
Thanks, Road Warrior.
So long, happy little blue car.
No matter what you call your car,
goodbye, Speed Demon.
or why you're letting it go, AutoNation will buy it, and you don't have to buy one from us. We're paying top dollar right now. So go to AutoNation.com or come see us for a super easy appraisal. Get paid on the spot, and you can deposit it the same day. Visit any AutoNation store or AutoNation.com. What drives you drives us.
Hey, it's the Good Greek Spiro, and we all know that the most important part of winning a championship is getting there. And when the Miami Hurricanes need to get their equipment to each game, they call Good Greek Moving and Storage. The Miami Hurricanes trust the Good Greek, and so should you. So move like a champ and go to goodgreek.com. Good Greek Moving and Storage, the official movers of the Miami Hurricanes.
Good Greek Moving and Storage, your superhero movers.